Join women passionate about agriculture and food at the upcoming Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference being held on November 17th, 18th, and 19th, 2024 at the Sheraton Fall Views in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Re-energize and re-engage while listening to leaders in the agriculture and food industries tell their stories. You can network and make connections while learning tips that will help you meet your goals. For more information and to register, head to the link in today's show notes. Hi, I'm Caitlin Dubin, and this is the Rural Woman Podcast. I'm a first-generation farmer who married into agriculture. Born and raised in a city, I was so unfamiliar with where my food came from, but I was determined to figure it out. Through my journey into agriculture, I saw women who were strong but humble, often taking a back seat. To me, these women were leaders who deserved a seat at the table. I created the Rural Woman Podcast to share the voices of women in an industry whose stories often went untold. The rural entrepreneurs who live and breathe their work, full of grit and pride. We come here to share our stories, to be in community with each other, to be challenged and inspired, but most importantly, to be celebrated and to be heard. We may not all live, farm, ranch, or homestead the same, but we are all connected. We are rural women, and our stories are worthy of being told. Hey everyone, welcome to a special two-part series of the Advancing Women in Agriculture mini interviews. These interviews were conducted in March of 2024 at the Advancing Women in Agriculture West conference in Calgary, Alberta. We did these interviews back in 2022 at the same conference, and I have to say that this go around was something really special. And I want to say a big shout out and thank you to my team that was there in person to help me. Kim and Kristen from Kim & Co. came all the way from Ontario to help me at the conference and to connect with these incredible women that you are about to hear. There is something truly special when women in agriculture come together, and this is what happens each and every time at the Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference, whether that's West or East. This go around of interviews, we actually gathered all together in one big room and we got to sit and listen to each and every one of these stories. So there is audience interaction that you will hear, and it was truly something special. I honestly went up to Iris Meck, the organizer of the Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference, and told her it felt like Rural Women Church. So I hope you get that same sense and that same feeling during this two-part series. If you enjoy these mini interviews and would like them to be at an upcoming conference that you're a part of, please reach out to us at hello@wildrosefarmer.com, and we would love to chat about your upcoming conference and how we can do mini interviews with your guests. Without further ado, my friends, let's get to the special mini interview series with Advancing Women in Agriculture. Hello there. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. Give us your name, who you are, where you're from, and how you are involved in agriculture.
Hi there. I'm Allison Weaver from Lloydminster, Alberta, Saskatchewan. I am part of a 6th generation grain farm, small cattle herd farm, and I farm with my son. Or my husband, my son. We should let my poor husband, he needs to be up there on the top of the list. So my husband, my son, and myself, and then our daughter and son-in-law also farm, so we help each other out. And we grow wheat, oats, barley, and canola. And then that's how I'm involved in agriculture. I've been involved in agriculture my whole entire life, Caitlin.
Your whole dang life.
Yes.
And if the listeners are listening to this and they're like, this sounds familiar. My good friend Allison has been a absolute supporter of this podcast. I would say close to day one, my ride or die, and has done a full interview before, but I'm so excited to be sitting across from her in real life once again at the Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference. It's always a treat to see you. give you a hug in real life.
It's so good to be here in person and see I don't know. We have to be so thankful to be in person again. I don't know how long that's going to take to not be thankful, but I'm just thankful every time we're in person.
Yeah, it hasn't ran out yet.
Nope.
So that's good. That's good. What's farming look like for you in 2024?
Oh, farming in 2024 for us is... Right now, we're going into a spring that definitely we're a little dry, which you'll understand, Caitlin, being in the south part of the province of Alberta. But we are a little dry, a little anxious. So we're just careful watching if we have to pull back some input costs just a little bit and see if some rain comes, and then we can top dress our crops, doing things like we've been digging some dugouts so that there's enough water for our cows. So right now it's feeling a little bit like, I hate to say it, like the 80s, 90s, where we're going to have to watch those levels of moisture and really hope that Mother Nature gets a little misty and shares some water with us.
Not just Caitlin crying on the podcast, but, Mother Nature, give us some rain.
Exactly.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Yes.
So you and I have been doing this dance at Advancing Women for quite some time now.
Yes.
And my takeaways every year are a little bit different. So I'm curious to know what your takeaway is from this year.
Well, this year's takeaway for me is always the people, but I've enjoyed, first of all, how many students are here this year. Like, that just enlightens me. What I would...
In the room with us, if we may say.
And what I would have given when I was a student in agriculture to be able to come to something like this. Like, because it lifts and empowers and it pulls women up and it tells you you can do whatever you like. And let's be honest, there's more women in the College of Agriculture almost across the country of Canada than there are men now. Like, those numbers are changing, and I think that's absolutely fantastic because we can do whatever we want. And the other part is enjoying all the producers that are here, but it's the people, Caitlin. I have met so many wonderful people with amazing stories, and it makes me so happy to hear people's stories. It's really been great.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned like seeing the students here and what you would have given to have that type of mentorship.
Oh.
And sometimes, I don't know if you feel this or not, does it feel weird to be looked at as a mentor? Or have you reached a point where you're like, yeah, I'm a mentor?
Yes. Yeah, it feels weird, but I also feel it's time for me to give back.
Right.
So important. I've been, like I said, in agriculture for, I don't know, since I was born, but also been leading in that field for a while now as a producer, as someone who's creating tools to help women and men in agriculture. So it is time, because if we don't help lift up our next generation, because we want the farms to be generational, we want the industry to be generational, and the knowledge that's out there, we need to share what we know, and we look forward to the younger generation teaching us. Like, the technology and what they're going to bring to us is, well, it's already amazing what's happened in the last 10 years. So what's going to happen in the next 10 years is fantastic. So I feel actually very honored to be considered a mentor.
Absolutely. You're my mentor. And my honorary farm mom, whether you'd like it or not.
We'll take it. You can come drive a tractor at our farm anytime you want.
I'm really good at it.
Awesome.
Okay, my last and final, most important question, and it's the question that all of the listeners want to know. Navigate 2025.
Yes.
Your incredible planner that you've made for us. What color is the cover going to be? Can you tell us? Or maybe just a hint?
It's not green.
Okay.
I can give you that hint.
Okay, that's enough for me.
I can just tell you it's at the artists right now.
Hard-hitting news at 11 right here, folks. You heard it first. Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin. That was lovely.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you're involved in agriculture.
My name is Ray Westersund. I am from Blackie, Alberta, and I've been involved in agriculture my whole life, growing up on a cow-calf mixed grain operation that I am involved in today, raising yearling cows with my sister and my dad, as well as working in the industry for a company called New Farm, which is agrochemical. I'm the Southwest Alberta Territory Manager.
Amazing. So growing up on the cow-calf grain operation, did you want to run away or did you want to be a part of it?
I very much wanted to be a part of it. I went to school actually for pre-vet and then fell into an egg plant and soil science degree because I flunked out of pre-vet. But agriculture was always the main attraction.
I've heard time and time again, I was also the little girl who I think wanted to be the vet, but I also had that stuffy that had the babies in it. And I was like, it's like a vet. It's like operating to take the babies out of, you know what I'm talking about? I know what you're talking about. Okay. It's tough. It's a tough gig. You are a doctor of veterinary medicine. So it's a big gig. Tell me about your experience of working in the industry as a representative. Tell me about the building of relationships with customers.
So as a territory representative, I work both with retails, suppliers, where producers get their inputs from. Those are my primary customers. And then I also work with producers, farmers, as well as Hutterites. What I found my experience is being a female in the industry, I found that it's a little bit harder for me to get on or get the business. It's easier for me to get on farm because when I call somebody, I get more of the benefit of the doubt. So I have yet to have somebody hang up the phone or say that they don't want to see me. However, it does take me a longer time to get their trust and to get their business. However, an advantage of being a female in the industry is I find that my relationships are more loyal and I retain more customers. So I think it's both different challenges. And I don't notice any type of gender differentiation within my role.
Yeah. I want to know if there is research out there when it comes to like client acquisition, when it is women in agriculture and acquiring the new client. And I wonder how many more, do they still call it touches? Do we still call it like how many interactions you have to have with them before you are, their representative? And versus that on the opposite end of, like you said, the loyalty that comes with it. Because I think as women, we have a special gift of really valuing those relationships and cherishing them in a sense, and just being there for them and an empathetic ear to listen to, right?
I would agree. Yeah. I think that, women in my role are deemed more trustworthy than men are. I'm not going to say that that's entirely true, but that perception has definitely served me well going forward.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, it's people have their own skills and they have their own abilities. But, if this is something that we are called to do in this way, like what a great opportunity for you to be in this industry and to be able to be a big part of it for a lot of farmers. And, building trust is so important, right?
Absolutely. I've been a rep and in the industry now for coming on 14 years.
Wow.
And when I first started out, I was one of very few females. And in my Lethbridge College days, I was one of 2 females in my class. And now when I look around the industry, it's very close to being 50-50. And in some geographies, it's actually maybe 60-40 more female. So I love seeing the change. I love seeing that, women are seeing the opportunity in agriculture and aren't being scared to pursue that.
Yeah, for sure. So if somebody is listening right now who's kind of thought about this as a career path that they want to take, what advice do you have for them?
My biggest piece of advice is to work hard, take as many opportunities as you can. When you're starting out and you are in college, your summer student jobs, some of them may not be what you wanted or what you had hoped for, but every single opportunity that you can get will lead you closer to where you want to be. Be open-minded, learn from everyone, and just work hard.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, Pauline. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Introduce yourself to us. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you're involved in agriculture.
Okay, so my first name is Pauline, last name is Chan. I am a master's student from the University of Alberta in Edmonton, and I'm related in agriculture in that I'm in the Faculty of ALS, Agricultural, Life and Environmental Sciences. I study food sciences, and I work with agricultural end products for my research.
Very cool. What made you go down this road? Why are you doing what you're doing?
I actually grew up part-time in a small town, and we had a family-like restaurant there, and a lot of our customers were farmers and ranchers, and I learned about agriculture from there. And when I went to university, I studied food sciences. I really enjoy food. I love to eat. I love to cook. And I guess I just had the opportunity to do like a master's, and I just went down that route. And I love food sciences, so I'm determined to stay within this field.
Yeah, that's very cool. Well, and just a unique way of how you learned about agriculture, like through customers at a restaurant where they're eating food that probably some of them helped grow. Like it's, the full circle moment here. Mm-hmm. What are your plans after graduation?
After graduation, I hope to leave academia. No more research for me, or no more researching in the university for me.
Yeah.
I want to work in industry, either in food product development, formulating foods. Another route that I'm considering is food policy. I think food safety, food regulation is really important, and there's a lot of things for me to do within that field. So those are two things that I'm considering, but I haven't graduated yet, so...
The world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. That's very cool. We talk about food and we talk about growing food, but food security and policy and all of those things, those impact not just farmers, but everyone. So like those are really big. And that's a really exciting career path to go down. I'm curious, is this your first time at Advancing Women, or have you been here before?
I have been here before.
Yeah.
I attended Advancing Women conference in 2022 in Niagara Falls.
Awesome.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and then you came out here to the Wild West. What's been your biggest takeaway so far?
Oh, it's just so much to learn. I think that what I've taken away from these conferences is that there's a huge support system for women in agriculture, women in food production, and there's so much to be learned and to inspire others. And it's just important to come with an open mind and to see everyone's perspectives and just learn as much as you can.
Absolutely. Are you going to come back? Hopefully?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see you then.
Sounds good.
We can meet you back here next year, okay?
Podcast number 2.
Awesome. Good job.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Everything good?
Good. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you're involved in agriculture.
Well, my name is Lucia Sanguinetti. I am a graduate student from the University of Calgary. I was born and raised in a farm in Uruguay, South America, right next to Argentina and Brazil. Where to start from agriculture? I belong to a 5th generation of farmers, so agriculture has all the way through my life. My dad is a vet, so I think that the passion also got into generations from there. We moved to Paraguay, a little bit north, and there I did my undergrad, agriculture engineering, so continuing to the path of agriculture too. I worked in several places, and then I decided I wanted to do more, so I came to Canada to do my master's.
Very cool. What made you decide to come to Canada to do your master's instead of going anywhere else in the world?
Well, being really honest, I was in Italy for some time working there, and my sister Maggie was doing her PhD here at U Calgary. So I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. I just sent an email and got an interview like the next day right away, so I didn't have much time to think about it. But we all know that Alberta is referent for beef cattle, so it was great.
It fit for you. Tell us more about your home farm operation.
Well, the term home is quite weird for me. Most of my friends are in Paraguay, where I did my undergrad, so it's a different country. So home also refers to Paraguay. But my parents are living in Uruguay. Uruguay and Canada, specifically Alberta, is quite similar. We have, not that chilly though, but we have quite cold too. Yeah. Livestock farm is very similar, and productive systems are very, very similar. We have similar breeds, Angus, Hereford, and although in Uruguay we have more sheep than here, I can say. Yeah.
Very cool. What are you hoping to do when you're done school?
Well, that's the question everybody wants to hear.
Isn't it? Right? Like, what do we do when we grow up? That's the question we have. What are you aspiring to be? What do you want to do?
Well, the short-term target is to finish my master's. I guess that in 8-9 months I will be finished. My master's is focused on sustainable grazing practices, and now my second part is including true cost accounting, which is basically exploring the hidden costs of production. Let's say if a kilogram of beef is $27 Canadian dollars, I will explore a little bit of what are the social, the environmental, and the human health in here. So basically just continue on that trend and see if I can find a job.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you can't find one, just make one.
Of course.
Yeah, that's my advice for everyone. If there isn't the job title out there for you, just make one.
Yeah. And actually everything is like relatively new.
Yeah.
I haven't found any studies about true cost accounting of what I'm doing in Canada, so
yeah. Very cool. Well, you keep us updated. I'm interested in that. That's very cool. Is this your first time at Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference?
It is.
Awesome.
I'm very new to Canada, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity of being a student here, sponsored by IRISMEC. So
yeah,
it is very important for me, especially because of the valuable networking I did.
Right. I'm curious, back home, in all senses for you, women in agriculture, what kind of community is there that you have at home?
In Uruguay, women and men are practically seen the same. Okay. In agriculture, me and my 3 sisters, we never felt any difference. But when moving to Paraguay, that was a slap on the face, basically, because what was I doing in an agriculture engineering school, first of all? Most dominated by male, and actually the Paraguayan culture can be male focused. So it was like my first impact comparing, and I felt like, well, interesting.
Just different from where you know, from the other experiences you've had, right? Kind of complete opposites of one another. So I'm curious, when you came to Canada and you're doing your schooling here and you're surrounded, I guess, in a room full of amazing women in agriculture, how is this comparing to what you've experienced before?
Canada is basically as Uruguay. We don't have any. I never felt any difference. Yeah. My supervisor, he's also my boss, right? He's amazing. I don't think that in academia you can feel much of that pressure. So
yeah, that's amazing, and I'm glad that's your experience here. And it's been lovely to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Tell us your name, who you are, where you're from, and your involvement in agriculture.
So my name is Kyla Krahn. I'm from a mixed grain farm in southern Manitoba. When I say south, I mean a mile off the U.S. line, so right down at the bottom there. I'm currently studying agribusiness at Lakeline College. I'll be graduating in the spring and then heading to USask to do my Bachelor of Science in Ag Biz. So a couple more years left of school. Ag's always been a part of me. Growing up on the farm, can't see it any other way. I like to get involved in any way I can. I've been part of an Ag Tours Club through our college, and I've had the opportunity to travel. We went to Florida last year, and then we went to St. Lucia and Dominica this year and got to learn about agriculture in other countries, and that's really something that inspires me, and it really brings new opportunities and a new way of seeing agriculture, and I love just learning all of those other ways of how they do it in different places in the world.
Right. Growing up on the farm, was there ever a time that you thought, like, this is not what I want to do, or have you always been diehard and you're like, I'm a farmer?
I've always felt my place in ag growing up, but it was never something I knew that I wanted to do. That same line, like, what are you going to do when you grow up? I don't know. Oh, you'll figure it out. 17 comes along. Oh, I still don't know. Oh, you'll figure it out. You got a couple of years till you graduate. No, didn't figure it out then. I did a year of university at the U of A Augustana campus in Camrose. Just did a general science year there first. They're like, oh, what do you want to do? Oh, I still don't know. And I was like, ag's always been like a bit of a backup for a career. It'll always be there with me, but I didn't know if I wanted to pursue it as a career full time. And then after my first year, I was like, no, I don't like this science thing as much with chemistry labs. So I decided to do a jump into college instead and just really get the more feel for practical industry. And I love that part of it way more. So I've kind of found my place in ag from just kind of, this is something I've grown up knowing, and I think I want to take a stab at doing it as a career.
Absolutely. So what do you want to do when you grow up, when you're done school?
I don't know. It's always been an open-ended question. If anyone asks, like, what career do you want to go into, what field, like, I figure it out a little more each year. I like math and numbers and business. That's more me than the science aspect. But do I want to work at a bank? I don't know. Do I want to work for FCC or on a farm? I don't know. I think after school I'd like to do like a international practicum. I have friends right now that they're working in New Zealand and they've been in Australia, and I could see myself doing something like that for a couple of months or a year after school and then kind of letting it pan out from there.
Yeah, I love that. From my experience and talking to people and, for the folks who did grow up on the farm, and it's, maybe in the long-term goal that they're going to go back to their farms and, take over or work there in some capacity. I've heard nothing but positive experiences for those who went off and worked somewhere else before they came home to mom and dad or whoever on the family farm, because you get that other experience from outside your farm, because really
Absolutely.
Your farm can be absolutely different from the neighbor across the road, and proximity doesn't matter. It's the operation in itself. So very cool. I'm so jealous. That's so fun. What's been some of your biggest takeaways from the conference?
One of my biggest things that I love about conference is just the networking opportunities and getting to hear everyone else's story. Like, not even just the presenters, but the conversation that comes after when they say, oh, do you have questions? And especially in those small workshops where we can share our opportunities and you hear the different places that people come from in ag, and then just all those stories and experiences, especially for people who've worked in industry for a couple years versus the people who've worked in industry for 40 years. Everyone has a different takeaway from it, and just getting those networking experiences. And when they say one of the presenters made that comment of what fills your cup, events like this and conferences and meeting people and those social aspects, that's what's been filling my cup these last couple days.
Amazing. Is your cup overflowing like mine?
It is now. School's been dragging it down a little bit. The burnout's hitting. It's so close to
seasonal
the end of the
depression too.
We're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're so close. And then conference is filling that cup up. But I do have a midterm tomorrow, so that's going to drag me down a little bit after leaving.
We are going to wrap this up so she can go study. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
I am very good.
Cool.
Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your involvement in agriculture is.
Okay. My name is Kati Day-Holland, and I am from Kelowna, British Columbia. Our family farm, our main business is Day Century Growers. We're pair farmers. Our dad had 2 daughters and no sons. And growing up on the farm, I think, gives you a lot of chores and a lot of opportunity and a lot of hard work. I've dug potatoes, I've picked pears, I've been up at all hours of the morning picking corn into bins and counting, a lot of counting. And so growing up farming was always part of my life, and watching the people around me that I loved work incredibly hard on our family property that's been part of our family since 1890. And life happened as I was growing up. Our parents separated, and my dad continued to run our farm, and I watched him work incredibly hard to keep things going. And when I was graduating from high school, he told me, go, don't be a farmer. Right. Don't do this. This is not a life that I want for you. And so I went to university. I've always had a passion for helping people, and that actually led me to a career in social work. And I currently work in end of life and support people as they and their loved ones move through that part of their journey. Fast forward 10 years later, and my dad had a vision to build a packing house and really verticalize operations on our farm. So we basically go from growing our food to getting it to the consumer now. We've kind of taken out the middleman, which is was very brave of him. And I have a sister who is 10 years younger than me. So when she was graduating from high school, he said, come back, don't go, come back. Right. You need to come back. And so my sister, who I am in awe of every day, our team on the farm calls her Jefita, little boss, and she is my dad's right-hand person and is walking in his footsteps. And it is truly beautiful to see that exchange of information. That's not just from dad, but from generations of our family's farmers, right. Which is really cool. And now our business has continued to grow. I mean, I always just think of us as, our little family farm that my mom and dad ran a market garden off of, and I dug the carrots and whatever, right? And so now we are this big company, and my dad will look at me and be like, haha, when are you coming back? And so I've had the opportunity to start doing some events on our farm. I've run yoga retreats on our farm and done some agritourism with folks from Australia and different delegates from different countries. And really, because my sister runs the day-to-day operations of the mainstream of our industry, I get the chance to be really creative and innovative and look at what options are kind of available for the future. Now, I still do have my real job, air quotes, my day job. I'm actually on maternity leave right now because we had a baby last year. And coming to this conference has been so inspiring. It just has blown my socks off. And thinking about going back to the farm has always been there in my mind. And this is just such a kick in the butt. It's so inspiring. It's so to watch the courage of the women here, the speakers, the workshops, and all of the attendees. It's just like, oh my gosh, look at all these things that you're doing. And so, I'm farmer adjacent right now, and I do feel like it's in my blood, and I do feel like there is a future for me. So I'm excited, I'm scared, and I really want to step into my bravery around it because I'm ready to, change it up. I love my work in end of life, and I think those skills can also apply to many aspects of life.
This is amazing. You have answered all of my questions in your eloquently described who are you, where are you from, and what are you doing in agriculture. For the listeners, I need you to know that this beautiful woman has been sitting in the corner of this room watching everyone and had no intention of talking to me until I shamed her into it.
Thank you for shaming me.
Thank you. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for sharing that. And I cannot wait for your future in agriculture and on your farm to see what you powerful women can do.
Yeah, sisters, right?
Yes.
Thanks.
Calling all women passionate about agriculture and food. Join us at the Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference, November 17th through 19th, 2024, at the Sheraton Falls View in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Whether you're a university student studying agriculture, a producer, an entrepreneur, or working in agribusiness, this conference is for you. The Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference empowers women to grow their careers, families, and communities through communication and coaching, mentoring and networking, financial management and independence, health and work-life balance, career planning, and goal setting. With a rich history of connecting women across Canada and parts of the U.S., Advancing Women delivers top-notch speakers, including industry experts, business leaders, and motivational speakers. Don't miss out. Register today at advancingwomenconference.ca or by heading to the link in today's show notes. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing really well.
Good. Tell us your name, first name and last name, who you are, where you're from, and what's your involvement in agriculture.
Yeah. My name is Julie Sharp. I'm from Lacombe, Alberta. I grew up on my family's purebred Black Angus operation. So grew up in the 4-H program and grew up showing cattle at some cattle shows across Alberta. And then I went to agribition a couple times with a family. So grew up in that space. And now I'm a student in the College of Ag and Bio at the University of Saskatchewan. I'm majoring in animal science and minoring in ag business. Currently in my 4th year, and I'll be graduating December of 2024. So
Amazing.
Getting in the home stretch now. I'm super excited.
Can I come to the party? Can I come to the graduation party?
It is a really great party.
I bet.
January 2025.
Be there. I'll be there. That's exciting. Are you excited to be done school?
I am. I do really love school. We have a really great student community in the College of Ag at U of S. So I've had a really great time there and have some really, really great friends. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out in the industry and seeing where my career takes me.
Yeah. Do you have any place you want to go in particular, an idea of what you want to do?
Yeah, nothing that I'm fully certain of yet where I want to be, but I really like the policy and advocacy kind of space right now. Last summer, I had an internship with the Canadian Cattle Association, so I was exposed to some of the policy and advocacy side of the beef industry and really like that. And then this summer, I'm going back to the organization and I'll be interning with the Canadian Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. So really excited to see another part of the organization and see how they benefit the beef industry.
Yeah. What a cool opportunity. That's a good summer job. Very cool. I'm curious, you grew up on your family's operation and you went to school for agriculture. What did your parents say to you when you said you wanted to go to school for agriculture? Did they encourage you to do something else, or was this like, okay, you do this?
It was definitely encouraged. Neither of my parents worked in ag. My mom has been really involved, not in her employment in ag, but she's been very involved in beef industry organizations like Alberta Beef and CCA. So it was definitely encouraged for me to go to school for agriculture. Our family farm is small, so it's not something that I'm looking at going back to full time at this point in my life. So maybe something down the road, but right now, my parents definitely encouraged me to go to school in ag and encouraged me to look into employment opportunities and kind of knew that there's lots available in agriculture. So yeah, it's definitely something encouraged.
That's very cool. And that makes my heart happy because, we hear a lot of stories about people who grew up in the industry and their parents told them to get away from the industry versus encouraging them to look at the different opportunities that they could do because, as a person who didn't grow up in agriculture, I thought the only thing people in agriculture did was wear their overalls and farm. Like, and there was a man outstanding in his field. Like, that was my view of it. But there's just so many different cool opportunities. And it sounds like you're doing some pretty neat things in school, and you've had interesting opportunities already. Yeah. So is this your first time at Advancing Women in Agriculture?
It is. So super excited to be here.
Yeah. How has your experience been so far? What's your biggest takeaway?
It's been so awesome. I would highly recommend it to anyone, especially students. As a young person that's going to be starting in my career right away, I found that it's been really great for boosting my self-confidence. There's been a lot of talks about confidence and how to network and express like your personal brand and just like make yourself a known presence in the industry. And then also there's so much opportunity for networking and getting to know people. So both like coming from the speeches that are happening and then the opportunities to network, I think it's a really, really great opportunity to boost your confidence and just get confident with yourself and who you are and what you bring to the table in the industry.
Yeah, I love that. So good. And there's so many students here this year. Like, I feel like there's more and more each time we do this. I say we, like I had any involvement in it. But we, as in the community of Advancing Women, like once you come once, like you're going to want to come back. So, but just the student population has grown and grown each and every year. And I have to tell you, it's really inspiring to talk to students. And I have an opportunity to go across Canada a lot of winters, and I talk to a lot of students in a lot of big places. And there's a saying that it's probably going to date myself, but like the kids are all right. So I think we're going to be good. We're going to be good in agriculture. So Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm lovely.
You are lovely. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your involvement in agriculture is.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Crowson. I'm from Vauxhall, Alberta. Originally, I grew up in BC. A little bit about me when it comes to rural life. So my whole dream was to grow up on a farm. So I moved to Alberta, found my cowboy, and that's where I ended up. So my husband and I live on about 30 acres. Always had livestock. So I had 300 laying hens that my children needed to be the labor force for. And then I also raised fainting goats for many years. So, which, when we talk about baby animals, funnest baby animals ever around. They're so much fun. My journey with agriculture, if you would have asked me about 2 years ago, if I would have been talking about adjusted tons per acre for sugar beets, I probably would have looked at you cross-eyed and said, yeah, I don't think so. So I was very fortunate to join Alberta Sugar Beet Growers in May of 2023, and I am their executive director. So the best part about my job is that I get to represent my friends and neighbors, and it's pretty neat. Shortly after I started, I had one of my neighbors come up to me and say, I'm so excited that you're here for us. And so I think when you work in the world of the industry and you're an executive, sometimes you undervalue yourself and you don't really think about the impacts that you can make for the people that are your friends and neighbors. So a big part of my role is ensuring that we have sugar beets grown for further generations to come. So, you get to be a person of influence. You get to have conversations with government officials. There's all the pieces with that go with it. And I still get to maintain living my rural life as I journey forward.
Right. Take me back to before you started in this position. What made you say yes? What made you go for it?
Actually, I love that you asked me that. So
I do too. That was a great question, Caitlin.
It is. It was great. Actually, I had a conversation with the former executive director. I was kind of at a crossroads in my life. I served on municipal council. I'm still currently a school board trustee. So my passion is governance as well. And I was chatting with her at an event, and she's like, I'm going to retire soon. You should apply for my job. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I have your skill set. So in saying that, I wasn't one that actually attended college or university. So in my life, I've been life taught. I've been fortunate to be surrounded by a tribe of numerous women over the last 15 to 20 years that have helped me grow as an individual and an organizer and a PR person and all the pieces that go with that. And I think going back to that, it was one conversation that inspired me. And I kept it in the back of my mind that, you know, there's somebody that thinks I can do this. And I know I can do this because I can do hard things. I'm not going to lie, though. I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, do I have to keep doing hard things? Right. You know, but I think it's also a mindset shift. I need to look at the fact that I get to learn and grow from all of these things, and not that they're just hard things, right. But I know that I can achieve things if I put my mind to it. Because
you've already done it, right? Yeah. You've already pushed yourself to the point where you didn't think you could in the first place. What advice do you have for those listening who are maybe on the cusp of that, who are teetering if saying yes or no? What advice do you have for them to push them to greatness? I would say two things. I think when things are hard, we get down on ourselves and it's really hard to get past that. But I think we can all say at the end of the day, we've all survived our hardest days. And I would say the next thing is surround yourself with people. Ask for help. It's okay to just say, hey, I'm struggling, and just have that heart moment and get a hug and carry on. Right. People look at asking for help as a weakness, but it is the strongest thing you can do is to ask for help. And thank you. Yeah, thank you. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am great. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your involvement in agriculture is.
I'm Hunter Tataryn. I'm 45 miles west of Yorkton, Saskatchewan. I live really close to I-2. I live 15 minutes away. We live on a farm with my family. We run a cattle operation. We have 230 head of commercial beef cows, and yeah, I've always been drawn to egg. I will say, when I was a kid, I do remember me saying that I wanted to be a ballerina, but sorry, that's not happening. I changed my plan. But anyways, I've always been drawn to egg, and I've always wanted to do something with cows or with just people in egg and anything. And it's crazy, like the roles that I do on my farm is amazing. Like, you ask me what I do over the summer. Yeah, I drive silage truck over the summer. I am in the truck all the time from like 6 all the way till 7, maybe 9, really depends. But I'm always just like out and about checking cows with Dad and doing all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like, even though that I'm the daughter, like I feel like I wear a decent amount of hats, you know, college student, girl pulling out a calf one day, girl like driving truck, like it's just all these things. And honestly, there's no other way that I would want to like live that kind of lifestyle. Yeah. That's amazing. So what do you hope your future in agriculture looks like? Oh, that's a good question, because I don't even know. I will say during this whole conference, I really love interacting with people and even just having the important conversations that we don't talk about that in ag as much as they should be brought up. I want to be in those conversations. I want to be in the conference room, and I want to tell, not my opinion per se, but I want to tell them about me and about like what I think and what we can do and all that. So I've really realized that, yes, I would love to be with livestock, but I feel like I need to do something in ag, whether it be ag advocacy of just telling women that you can do it. Yeah, you got this. Like, because women don't get enough credit in the ag world, I feel, anyway. Absolutely. Well, and
to know that you are able to do what you love and be with the cows and be out in the sun and drive the silage truck and all of those things, and know that you can still be an advocate for agriculture, and whether that is on a broad scale, like talking into a microphone, or like in your local community, like you can be an advocate for your neighbors, for your sisters, your cousins, your whomever. Like you can advocate on a local scale and be just as effective.
That's what I'm like so thankful for with like the people that I'm surrounded with, is like, yes, I'm a girl, and I'm very thankful that none of my neighbors or my family, friends don't tell me, just because you're a girl, you can't do this. And I appreciate that so much from them, because also if they were to say, I would tear a strip out of them. Like, honestly, I would. It's like, I would, yeah. So like, they know to not pester me.
Absolutely.
So it's just like, I know what I can do. And I not only want to show them what I can do, but I want to show the people everywhere around the world what I can do.
Right. Hunter, you are a force to be reckoned with. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you were involved in agriculture.
Okay. My name is Gillian Hurst, and I'm from High River, Alberta, so south of Calgary here. I grew up in town, but about 15 years ago, I married my husband, who grew up on a town outside of High River. So I've had a 15-year crash course on running equipment on the grain farm that we run. And I also am an engineer, and I work for Nutrien. So I work at the fertilizer plant by Carsland, Alberta. I've been there for about 12 years now as well.
Very cool. So you said you grew up in town.
Yes.
So driving equipment probably wasn't on your bingo card.
No, but is it ever fun?
Okay, we're going to wax poetic about this. This is where we're going to go off on this interview. Let's talk about driving equipment. What was the first piece of farm equipment that you operated? Do you remember?
I'm pretty sure it was the combine.
You got the big job first.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, tell us about it.
As with learning every piece of equipment so far with my husband, there's been a little bit of him trying to help me learn for the first few minutes, and then him giving up and just giving me the controls so that I can figure it out on my own.
Right.
So that's pretty much how we started there. And you said that's the big machine.
Well, so here's how it works on our operation. You start on the lawnmower. And you work your way up.
Okay.
So, like, I started on the lawnmower, and then I eventually got to the combine. So
maybe it's because he was trying to impress me. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Yeah, he's a nicer guy then.
Well, we went for the romantic ride along first.
Right.
And then it's like, here, try this.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I speak to a lot of women who have a lot of different skill sets. And with those skill sets comes with things that maybe they're not great at, or they don't know if they're great at it yet. Like, a lot of women that I speak to are terrified of running equipment, right? And I think sometimes, like, it's marketed to us that running equipment is scary because it's actually the funnest job.
Yes.
And they don't want the men's to not have the fun job on the farm,
I think
right?
On the combine, that's definitely the case because women often get stuck running the grain truck,
right?
Which is actually considerably harder to do because you have to move the auger around and
Well, and I ran the grain cart before I ran the combine, and it was our first grain cart that we had, and my husband gave me the manual and it said, here, learn how to use this. So I was the only person on our operation that knew how to operate the grain cart properly.
They had read the manual.
Right? Yes. I skimmed. Reading is, quite
opening
audacious.
it is further than most people get.
So from your experience, if somebody is listening and they are one of those people who are a little bit nervous about running equipment, what advice do you have for them?
Just to give it a try. You'll eventually figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's fairly hard to seriously damage the equipment unless you try really hard. The only caveat with there would be I did learn after some incidents, to not leave the parking brake on before.
Before you drive away.
Yes,
Yep.
before you drive away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the smell doesn't smell very good.
Combine.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like, what is smelling so hot?
Yeah.
My husband came out and said, did you know?
Did you know that that screeching sound and that smell came from that
but
piece?
I will never leave the parking brake on the combine again.
See, you just have to do it one time.
Exactly.
One time.
And
that's it.
See, sometimes you forget that the people that know had to learn.
Yes.
So the things that my husband learned from a very young age, sometimes when they're trying to teach others, it's so long ago that they forget. So just remember that everybody was there at one point, whether they were 5 or or 50.
Exactly. Yeah. That's solid advice. That's so good. Have you been to Advancing Women before?
No, this
First
is my
time?
first time. Yes.
That's awesome.
Nutrients sponsored women from all of our sites to come.
That's so awesome. What's been your biggest takeaway?
Oh, so many. I think one of the biggest takeaways was the conflict resolution seminar and dealing with bulls or people who act like bulls. I know I've encountered a few people like that in the past, but had no clue how to deal with them or even to consider where they might be coming from, and that they might just need to feel like they're in control. And there's ways you can manage that by giving them options. So that was one of the useful, but there's so many. Right.
And it's just so much diverse information, right? It's not all just about one topic. So there's just so many bits everywhere.
It was also really awesome to hear from a couple other women that had not grown up in agriculture.
Yeah.
Yourself as well.
Yeah.
Just to hear the experiences from that side, because often feel like you are the only person that has those experiences where you don't even know what that plant is called or what that field has in it. And it's just interesting to see what diverse career paths in agriculture there can be for women like that.
Absolutely. So cool. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much.
Yes, you as well. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your involvement in agriculture is.
Hi, so my name's Naim. I'm from Paris, Ontario, and I'm a master's student in animal biosciences at the University of Guelph. So I've grown up on a hobby farm, very small farm. So we've had chickens, like 15 to 20 chickens growing up. So I've always loved chickens. And then, but out of high school, I decided to take fashion communication at the university, at Ryerson University. Very different, but I love fashion and animals. So I decided, once I finished my undergrad in fashion, I decided to work in the fashion industry. I worked in bridal. And then from there, I decided to do sort of like a career change. So I'm like, I love animals. I want to do good for animals and love animal welfare. So I decided to take an undergrad at the University of Guelph in zoology. And then from that zoology program, I got offered a master's position in poultry. And when they said chickens, I'm like, I'm all for chickens. So I ended up taking an animal welfare and behavior position, graduate position at the University of Guelph. And then, so right now I'm completing writing my thesis, hoping to graduate at the end of summer. And meanwhile, I also have a fashion brand. So I also sort of want to work on a fashion brand, become an entrepreneur in fashion, meanwhile staying in animal welfare after. Yeah.
This is the coolest story.
Very different.
There's so many layers to this.
Yeah.
No chicken, pun intended. Layers, chicken. Haha. You guys.
Very good. Very good.
Kim didn't laugh either. When you have to explain a joke, it's not funny. It's fine. Anyways, so how do you want to involve your education with animals into your fashion career?
So education is very important to me. I have a thirst for knowledge and learning more, which this conference has been great for, just to hear other people's stories. And ultimately, I want to help animals. So I do want to have like a welfare technician job in poultry, work on farms. Like I love being, working on farms. But I do want to work on my fashion brand. And if it gets to where like I'm actually selling, I am selling a little just custom work. But I'm like, I would love to, like, if I'm able to sell more, kind of have part of the, the income go to help like animal welfare organizations or like wildlife organizations, stuff like that. So that's just like a very future career goal, but
I think we call that social entrepreneurship, when there is something, a cause behind why you do what you do. And I'm curious about the education piece. So as a person who did not grow up in agriculture, I love me a documentary, and I can see the alluring documentaries that are out there about, animal welfare and everything. Like obviously, as farmers, animal welfare, that's our shtick. Like we take care of those animals because they take care of us. Like on their no good, very bad day, like we get the paycheck from it. And so it's a give and take, right? Yeah. I'm curious what your view is on, I guess, educating or sharing your story with maybe the non-agriculture crowd when it comes to animals and how they're used for agriculture, and even, in the fashion industry. Yeah. What are we making chickens into in the fashion industry, right? I haven't seen a chicken. Well, there's chicken costumes, but I don't think they're made out of real chickens.
So I have a thought on that too, because growing up, I've always loved fashion and animals. And then people would be like, why don't you become a fashion designer for like animals? I'm like, I don't want to like make my dog suffer in a costume. Yeah. Like animals, chickens don't like having stuff. So like I didn't want to work it together in that way. Like I more so wanted to create a fashion brand separately and then have a platform, because now I do have a platform of fashion people and they are very interested in helping. They care, like they live in Toronto, they care where their eggs are coming from in the store. So I sort of like, I think having a fashion brand lets them listen to me more. They're not just going to listen to anyone. Right. But that sort of gives me a platform to bring that into like the big cities and stuff, so people know where like we need to care about the animals, like the broiler chickens, the laying chickens, like all that. So
well, and just share the processes of how they're raised, and in different settings, right? From a hobby farm setting to a however many hen house there is. Like there's different processes and it looks different. And if you don't understand what you're seeing, like sometimes it can look pretty scary. But when you learn about it and when you can share about it, and in a way when you build a brand or an audience that trusts you in some other way, you can move that trust over into a different aspect, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just seeing like growing up on a farm, having my like chickens in the backyard is completely different than like commercial settings.
Right.
So actually being on the farm at school, like working with the chickens, it's also a research center in Guelph. So it's not like a huge commercial setting, but like that kind of gave me an insight on it's so different when I'm like hatching baby chicks from eggs under like the brooder hen, whereas like in the industry it's all like artificial insemination, which we did do on the farm, and then incubation and all that. So very different, but the same
so cool
outcome.
You have the coolest job title. Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and how you're involved in agriculture.
Right. So my name is Annalise Steadman. I'm currently a second-year student at the University of Alberta. I'm doing my Bachelor's of Science in Agriculture Business Management with a certificate in sustainability as well. I'm originally from beautiful Metchosin, BC, which is, for those of you who don't know, is on southern Vancouver Island. It's right close to the water. I am so blessed to be where I am today. My family has a small 2-acre farm there. We have a variety of livestock, including chickens, ducks, rabbits, sheep, goats, the whole shabil, everything except cows. And in agriculture-wise, I also grew up in the 4-H program as well. I was a part of the Machosen 4-H Club, and I've done that for over going on 12 years now, sort of thing. And I've done a variety of projects in there. I've done sheep, I've done poultry, I've done photography, and yeah.
Very cool. What was your favorite 4-H project?
I am a bit of a chicken girl, so I have to always say chickens. That is the main thing I've always done. I've done numerous projects of that. And the really cool thing about the 4-H program is every year you can do something kind of a little different with your 4-H project. So in my first few years, you just get 4 chickens and you get them all together and you show them and you do a trio at the fair. But as you get into the older years of 4-H, you get to do some more expansion with your project, start planning out and doing the more manager level side of it. So I've done broiler projects as well, which is really cool to actually see the process of farm to table, and then to be in the position as like a young adult, like analyzing your feed intake and doing the kind of full market analysis, as well as like doing breeding programs as well. With poultry as well, looking for what are those genetic traits that you really want in your birds and how each year you can make your flock better.
So cool. Talk to me about the mentorship aspect of 4-H. How important has that been for you in your upbringing throughout the program? And how do you plan on mentoring and giving back?
Yeah, for sure. So, quite honestly, I don't know if I'd be in the position I am today without the 4-H program. That was a really huge part of my life. I think 4-H teaches us so many invaluable skills, and I could not recommend it enough to literally anyone and everyone. As far as mentorship goes in the program, there's always the transition of older members and younger members. And I think 4-H really embraces the relationship that you have with your older and younger members as well. You see them in these positions and they are able to kind of show you the ropes and guide you through your projects as well. And then also just the role that leaders play in 4-H. It is all of our leaders they don't get paid. They're all volunteers. A lot of them are parents or other people who are just very passionate about agriculture as well. And so having them there really gives you someone to aspire to. And I think now that finally I'm in the position where I can do that, in the past few years, I've gone back to my club and I've been able to finally give back to them as well. And I think it's so cool to see younger members and you see a little bit of yourself in them, kind of in the sense, I see the girls in the club who are just, maybe they're a little off their rocker running around, but they're so enthusiastic and so excited to be there. And they just love animals. And I'm like, I see that desire in you. And I know your teachers at school might get annoyed with you sometimes, or people might think you have a little ADHD or something, but you have something in you and you're special. And I know you can grow up and do something great as well.
Absolutely. Because you're living proof of that. You're living proof of that.
Yeah.
So is this your first time at Advancing Women in Agriculture?
Yeah, this is my very first time here.
First time.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your biggest takeaways? What are you learning?
Yeah, I think honestly, this has been such an incredible conference for me, and I'm so lucky and thankful that I've had the opportunity to come here today. I think taking the biggest takeaways is recognizing really the diversity within our industry. You see the food science aspect of it. You see our primary producers. You see people in the financial end, and you kind of know they're there. But actually meeting these people in person, shaking hands with them, getting them to tell you about their job and their experience and the experience and the role they play, it just really goes to show how intertwined our industry is, as well as just connecting with so many other students. I think there's so much innovation that is coming in the future, connecting with students and asking them about their master's research and their PhD research, and just seeing the bright young minds and people who have that similar passion you is so inspiring. And I'm leaving here today and I feel so empowered. I feel so good. I feel charged for my finals. I'm like, yeah, I can do it now. And yeah, it's been a really amazing experience.
It's amazing. And I have to say, it's been amazing meeting you. And I'm so happy you're here, and you're going to do great things.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your involvement in agriculture is.
My name's Emily Royce, and I'm from Listowel, Ontario, and I grew up on a farm with sheep and turkeys for a while, actually. Now we just grow corn, wheat, and beans. And I was never really interested in the farm or anything like that until kind of high school time. And then I did a semester at university, didn't like it. And then on a whim, I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply to Lakeland College. So then I came out here and I'm just near the end of the agribusiness program and I graduate in a few weeks. So that's exciting. And then I'm going to be actually working as a crop scout and getting into more of the agronomy side of things. So I guess I kind of didn't really go with my schooling like in my work field, but it's okay because I like to learn new stuff and there's a lot of stuff to learn in agriculture.
You learn every day.
Yes.
What are you looking most forward to after graduation and working out in the field?
Just being able to be outside every day is really nice. Last summer, my summer job was a crop scout, and I was like, this is actually really nice. Like, it wasn't as fun being outside when it was raining and everything, but it was still a lot nicer than sitting inside all day, and I got to be outside and enjoy the weather, and there's just, like, so much stuff that happens in a day. So it's just fun and exciting every day.
As somebody who worked in an office, like, you don't really understand that seasonal depression, and like in March when it kind of like all starts to melt away a little bit, then it's just regular depression that sets in. What has been one of the biggest takeaways from Advancing Women for you?
Just all of the speakers do so much, and we can all we don't have to stop at just one thing. We can all keep going and keep expanding what we do, and we don't have to be kind of described in just one word. We can just have so many different things to us. Like, there's so many mothers here. There's obviously a lot of farmers, and it's just, we're all so many different things, and it's cool to just see what everybody's kind of thing is when you first meet them and how they introduce themselves, and we're all just so different.
Right. And I think that just makes us unique, and it just makes this industry so cool. There's so many different jobs you can do. And for me, myself, when I grew up in the city, I didn't know there were all of these different jobs in agriculture that you could have, or that you could make your own job by talking into a microphone in a room full of people, right? Or putting it on the internet and having people listen to it,
yeah,
right?
There's so many different things you can do, and the sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I feel like that's cheesy to say, but it's very true. Like, yeah. Amazing. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Rural Woman Podcast. The Rural Woman Podcast is more than just a podcast. We are a community. A huge thank you to the Rural Woman Podcast team, audio editor Max Hofer, and admin support from Kim & Co. Online. A special thanks to our Patreon executive producers, Sarah Riedner from Happiness by the Acre and Carrie Munven from Laystone Farms. To learn how you can become a Patreon executive producer or other ways to financially support the show, head on over to wildrosefarmer.com to learn more. Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to the podcast to get the latest episodes directly on your playlist. And if you are loving the show, please be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other platform that accepts ratings and reviews. You can connect with us on social media at The Rural Woman Podcast and with me at Wild Rose Farmer. One of the best ways you can support the show is by sharing it. Send this episode to a friend or share on your social media. Let's strengthen and amplify the voices of women in agriculture together. Until next time, my friend, keep sharing your story.